Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Lorna, and this is Surendra and Hanuman and Mari. It's a joy to be here with you this morning. Wasn't that song fun? It's a story that Yogananda used to tell, and Swami Kriyananda, his direct disciple, there's a picture of him over there, put it to music to make it more fun to share, and that's what he did. What Swami did all the time was share anything from his guru in any way that he could, through his books, a lot of it, through his music, through his friendships, through all of the talks that he used to give. He was always sharing what Yogananda gave him. And we do the same thing, which is why it's so fun to be here with each other, is that we are constantly sharing the light. That was a light-hearted song. It's a story of, it was a spiritual lesson, but he shared the story and then he shared the song with the lightness of heart and spirit, and that's what we're talking about today, is light. And when we get together and we are here, it's all about sharing light. Whatever you're doing, I'm wearing this robe because I'm called a light bearer, and the white robe signifies that. But we're all light bearers, and we share that light through our smiles, through our friendship, through the beauty of the space, the beautiful altar that Imani and I had fun creating yesterday, through the food that we share. Everything is about sharing light, and that's what Ananda is about. People would often ask Swami Kriyananda, what's the purpose of Ananda? One time he answered and said, it's to have fun. That's what we're here for. I don't think he would object to the answer being, we're sharing light. That's the whole purpose of Ananda. And we're not here to convert anybody or convince anybody of anything except that that light exists. And we are part of that light. And that's what it says here in the Bible. That's what all of the masters tell us constantly, all the time, is that we are that light. We are part of that light. All things were made by him. And without him, not anything was made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. The light shineth in the darkness. And Yogananda, whenever I do a little study to prepare for Sunday service, I always come across at least 2 or 3 lines from Yogananda that I highlight and underline and sometimes write it out and stick it on my wall, and because they're just all these gems. And one of the things he said, Yogananda said, the whole universe shows that God took time to think things over before he created anything. And so he created everything out of this light. He said everything, he said all of it is nothing but different rates of vibration of the one light. There's only one light, or conscious cosmic energy, if you want to call it that. So Yogananda said, so after God created all things as an idea, then he created them astrally with light, by vibrating them into light. So everything is made of that light. In Genesis, a different book of the Bible, it begins with, and God said, let there be light. And there was light. And gradually, everything that we know of became all out of that same light. So recently I had 2 experiences. One was I went back and looked at an Advent. There's an Advent calendar you can look at online called the, what is it called? Space Telescope Advent Calendar. And they do this every year. They've been doing it for almost 20 years, I think. I just discovered it this last year. And you can go online and look every single day in the 12 days. They do it 12 days leading up to Christmas. It's their version of an advent calendar like you buy when you're a little kid and you open up the little door and there's a little picture. Well, their pictures are from the telescopes that are out there in space. And so there are these amazing images, and I just went back through it again because they're so incredible, because we have the technology now and these telescopes that are going way out, into space. And they have these images of galaxies and the cosmos, millions of light years away. And it's just so expansive to look at them and realize what a huge creation we're a part of. And these images of these they call them star nurseries, where little baby stars are getting born, and then the other places where there's these stars that are real old, and the light and the colors. And there's one, the reading today, the Bhagavad Gita readings, mentions if there were thousands of suns. Well, there are places, galaxies, that are filled with suns that are thousands of times bigger and brighter than our sun that we know. And they're very awe-inspiring. And also within this last week, I also looked up a little story that I saw about these creatures. They continue to find new living creatures that we never saw before, particularly down deep in the ocean, because we're now getting the ability to go further and deeper than we have before. And so scientists are constantly discovering these new life forms that we never knew were there before. And there were these pictures of these, they call them dwarf, do we call them dwarf? No, pygmy seahorses, little tiny seahorses, teeny tiny things that they said are no bigger than like your little fingernail. And they're pink, and they're so cute. They're a little tiny, and some of them have spots on them. And the seahorses, the male seahorses, are impregnated. They are this pregnant pink seahorse with all these little eggs in them. And they're little teeny tiny things. And there's lots of different kinds. There's these little pygmy seahorses living down deep in the ocean. And it just occurred to me, because I've been reading about this and thinking about today and this topic. I was seeing these pictures of the cosmos and the galaxies and thousands of suns and moons and then little pink pygmy seahorses. And it's all light. It's all light. The reason, Yogananda said, the reason that creation is so varied is the reason is to show us that God is infinite, that there's just no end to the creativity and to the expression of that light. It just goes on and on and on, and we will continue to discover and find new expressions, new manifestations of that light. And what's amazing, too, is that our human vision is limited only to they call it the visible spectrum, the visible light spectrum. If you look it up, they show you a bar of the electromagnetic spectrum, which is a long line. And here, the visible light that we can see with our eyes is less than 1%. It's a teeny tiny little sliver. And we know it as the rainbow, the colors of the rainbow. That's the visible light spectrum that we can see. Because we're limited. We're in these human physical bodies, and that's how we experience the light. But there is so much more. And of course, what we know of as the electromagnetic spectrum is nothing compared to what the light that is really there, the light on subtle levels, the light that we can experience in so many ways. And as we gain knowledge and the scientists keep doing their sciencey stuff, that electromagnetic spectrum will probably grow. And yet in our physical eyes, we're going to be able to only see this little tiny sliver. And the pictures of the cosmos and the little pink seahorses and all, those are fun and light and beautiful, and they make you smile. But the fact is, of course, it's everything that is light. Not all of it seems so light and fun. And we experience this huge spectrum. And we're told the darkness comprehended it not, this darkness that we also experience. Yogananda had a prayer, manifest thy light through the darkness of my ignorance. It's ignorance that is the darkness. It's not that the light is not there. It's that the light, the ignorance is preventing us from comprehending it and from seeing it and from even sometimes being aware that it's there. And because of that, our ignorance and our delusion, we wind up acting in ways and causing even more pain and suffering because we're not in attunement and in awareness of that light. This week, and it will go on to next week. This week I've had the joy, remembering the affirmation we had today, happiness. I will be happy under every circumstance. I've struggled with this week. I've been on jury duty this week. Some of you may know, have that experience of what that's like. This is the first time I've ever been selected and gone into the process. I usually, in my experience before, have been one of the ones that's eliminated as they go through the process. And I get to go home and check that off and say, okay, did that, I showed up, I did good. This time, they went through this over 2 days for them to choose the jury. It's a criminal trial, which I can't tell you anything about, so don't even ask me. And they kept going through this process. And there were a lot of people, and I was way down the line, and I kept thinking, I'm going to go home. They're not going to choose me. And they kept eliminating people and replacing them and eliminating them and replacing them. And then I got up there and I thought, okay, you can tell me I'm going to go home. And then they said, you're done. Everybody okay? You 12. Go off to the jury room. And, oh, here I am, Master. Why am I here? What is going on? But it's been a very interesting exercise in trying to share the light. There's a lot of good people there, the other jurors, but as I said, it's a criminal case. People behaved very badly to wind up there in that courtroom, going through that process. And so I've been I was just focusing on light, sharing light, visualizing light, thinking of everybody as a being of light. Yogananda and all the masters, they're not limited by the visual light spectrum that we are. It was just yesterday, wasn't it? We had the minister retreat. So we, as a ministry team, had a little retreat over in our community, and they were doing a retreat worldwide. So all the ministers of Ananda worldwide were participating in this retreat, either physically at the Ananda Village in California or in their various places and watching it online, and that's what we were doing. But Jyotish and Devi were there, who are the spiritual directors of Ananda worldwide, and he was talking, and one of the things he shared was reading Yogananda, something from Yogananda, explaining how Yogananda said that he could see past this visible light spectrum. He can see the astral world. He can see all of the subtle layers of light. And he said he could look out like I am now, I see physical forms, chairs and all the people here. But he could look out into the audience of the people he would talk to. And he talked to millions of people. He traveled all over the country and did these lectures and tours and halls with thousands of people there. And what he could see were the physical forms as well as the light. And he would talk about the angels and the astral beings that were there all the time. And that everybody he saw, even the physical people, were beings of light. But he saw it all as light. So in ways that we cannot even comprehend, were able to function and be here in the physical body, experiencing it as we do, but also with this vision that he could also see the world of light, what was really behind everything. And so I was been thinking about this week, and that's what I was trying to do when I'm in the courtroom, trying to visualize, okay, this is all light, everything is light, and I'm praying for everybody that's involved and filling them with light, Lord, fill them with light. And then at one point, I realized what Yogananda said, and what the reality is that the light is there all the time. We pray for people and we visualize light around them, and we say, Divine Mother, fill this person with thy light. And that, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing for us to focus on the light, to strengthen that light, to be in communion with that light. But the reality is that the light is there. The light is there all the time, in everything. It doesn't go away. It's, we actually have a technique that we teach here, that Yogananda taught, that then we taught, for visualizing the inner light. And we have techniques that we teach for listening to the inner sounds. And one of the things Yogananda said, and which we in turn teach others, is that even if you can't see it, doesn't mean it's not there. The light is there. And if you can't hear the sound of Om, it doesn't mean it's not there. It's always there. And you have both at the same time. You can't have the light and the sound separate. In the beginning was the word, which is the vibration. And then let there be light. So there's this vibration that goes on, and there's the light that's a result of it, and the sound that's the result of it. So the Om and the light go together. But I'm there in the courtroom, and I'm thinking about all of this, and it occurs to me to change my prayer. Darkness comprehended it not. These people that I'm here and I'm seeing, their suffering is a result of the fact that they're not aware of the light. They're not comprehending that there is light. And so I started praying, God, help them to comprehend, help them to see the light, to experience the light, or even just be aware that there is light and that they are part of that. And that's how I started to pray more and more, which felt like the right thing to do. But this sound and this light that go together, it's interesting. Another thing that I read, Yogananda, this is one of the things I highlighted, Yogananda said, is that the ocean sound, we go to the ocean and hear the waves, and there's something very deeply inspiring and primal about that sound of the ocean. And what he says is the ocean sound is the voice of matter. That's the Om. The Om, the sound of Om, the sound of creation. We can hear in the ocean as the waves are crashing. It's a very deliberate part of God's plan that we can hear that. And he said the Om sound within yourself is the sound of the burst of light on the shores of your mind. I had to read that over. So the ocean sound is the sound of Om in matter, that we can see the ocean, we can hear that with our physical ear. But if we hear the subtle sound of Om inside, he says it's the sound of the burst of light, that the light is the sound on the shores of your mind. You meditate on that for a long time. And then he said it's wonderful to hear the roar of the ocean, like we can with our physical ears. And it's also wonderful to listen to the cosmic ocean of light, too. So the light and the sound are together, and you can try to imagine this ocean of light making the sound, that inner sound of Om. When I was out during the week, I was in Hillsborough for the jury duty because it's Washington County Courthouse, so I was walking around during lunchtime, taking a walk outside, and I came by a small Episcopal church that had a little meditation garden. And there was a sign in the meditation garden that said, "Bidden or unbidden, God is present." I looked it up because I didn't know where that came from. And there's actually a Latin phrase that I can't say. But the origin, they figure, is actually Greek, possibly, from a very long time ago. But it was a sort of made popular, or more people became aware of it, because Carl Jung said it, and he actually had it put it on his tombstone, and actually had it also on the wall of his home, saying, "Bidden or unbidden, God is present." Meaning, whether or not we call on God doesn't change where God is or what is present. Whether or not we're aware of the light or we're calling on the light doesn't change anything. The light is there. God is there. And I thought, okay, comprehending or not, the light is present. And remember, I said, let there be light. The light is there for us to turn to, for us to find, for us to look for. And again, the whole universe shows that God took time to think things over before he created anything. This was a plan that no matter how much we don't comprehend the light, it's there always for us to turn to. The light just is. And it is in everything, in every circumstance, in every person, in every thought we think, everything. The light is there. And we can always look for it. We can always think about it, turn toward it, express it, share it. And it's not passive. It's part of the consciousness of God. It's not just the inert thing. It's the consciousness of God shining, and it's active. It's a conscious, active force. And we, as devotees, we are seekers of the light. We are light bearers. We share that light. We can act in cooperation with that light, because that conscious force is something that we can work with and be in tune with, so that we're able to share it, we're able to expand our awareness of it, become more deeply a part of that in our awareness, so that we can share it all the time, and we can be part of that conscious light that is shining in the universe, in the entire cosmos. At one point, many years ago, I looked up through our books, and we have a computer site with the writings of Yogananda and his lectures and things like that, and I looked up the words he used to describe the light, especially what the light was doing, active, what do you call those, verbs, words that describe what the light does. And I made this list, and then I went back yesterday, and I did the same thing again, and found even more than I found before. So I want to end with this exercise. I'm going to read these words. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to focus upward at the point between the eyebrows, and I want you to just try to feel for what the light is doing with us and for us. These are words, like I said, that Yogananda used. The light is channeling, receiving, sharing, expanding, bathing, immersing, surrounding, blessing, igniting, filling, permeating, living, protecting, clarifying, revealing, healing, transforming, flowing, embracing, enfolding, mirroring, transmuting, resurrecting, enchanting, guiding, illuminating, shining, vanishing, dissolving, awakening, and purifying. I'll finish with this Whispers from Eternity. Number 179. Make us transparent, that thy light may shine through us unimpeded. The sunbeams of thy love shine equally on all the members of thy cosmic family, whether prophet, hero, villain, tiny seahorse, I added that one, or me. It's our own fault if we make ourselves opaque by our own mental and emotional dullness. Teach us to wipe away the dirt of error from the windows of our understanding. Our arms are weak for the task, owing to our long inner spiritual resistance. O Master Cleanser, lend power to our efforts that we may wipe away every last spot that clings to our minds, obscuring our transparency and preventing free entry to thy light. Oh, make us fully clean again, invisible in our egos, because transmitting only visions of thy beauty, which lies within us. Amen.